Hey everyone, it's Tony. So today I have a really interesting video. I guess it's kind of exciting. It's a video on how I got hired at Mac, or how I am now working for Mac. But there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about before anything. So first off, now I've always wanted to work for Mac, and if you can hear my AC or my fan on, there's a bunch of lights up in this room, so get over it. Anyways, number two, I have always wanted to work for Mac. I mean, God, I can remember always, like, when I started doing makeup, like, Mac has always been, at the end of the day, like, Urban Decay and all these other brands are out there and whatnot, but I can guarantee you that every person that does YouTube videos or watches YouTube videos that is actually a makeup person, not just like a teeny bopper doing videos, wants to work for Mac. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of great brands, but you know that your first lipstick was probably Mac, or your first compact was Mac, you know? Like, all that stuff, like, everyone has a story with Mac. So, anyways, that's why I've always wanted to work for a brand. Like, I've never thought, or I've never seen myself working for any other brand if I worked for like a makeup counter or a makeup store. Like, I never saw myself working for any other, like, I've never even aimed to work for another brand. Not now. I mean, maybe in the future, you never know, but not right now. So, about, God, like a year and a half ago, 2 years, no, like 2 years ago, I went to IMATS with Pretty Little Miss Grace, and I'll try to, if I find a picture, I'll insert a picture of us together. But we went to IMATS, and the Mac little thing was there, because I have been applying to Mac since I was 18. I'm 24 now, just turned 24 in July. But I have been applying to Mac since I was like 18 years old. I would go and leave my resume and my application and all that stuff, and nothing would, I would never get a phone call back. I would go and say hi to the manager would never, like, nothing. I never got anything back, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have experience if you apply to Mac. It just, sometimes they don't call you back. They probably will never call you back unless you meet like a regional manager or whatever. So after I went to IMATS, I asked one of the managers, I was like, oh, they introduced me to one of the regional managers, and I was like, dude, like, do I not have a look for you guys? Am I not fitting your criteria? What is it? And she's like, no, she goes, just leave me your card, I'll give you my card, and we can email back and forth. So I emailed her, gave her my stuff, heard nothing. Like, a year went by, and then the last time I think I left my resume at the Brea store, I don't remember. And then one day, I had just gone to the Mac store in Brea, or I think it was in Brea, I'm pretty sure it was in Brea. And I went home, and like, this was when I was living at my old apartment, like my old studio. And I remember that I got an email when I walked inside, and I opened it up, and it said, you know, it's like a job opportunity for Mac. They would love to interview you. And I said, oh, cool. Like, I've never had anything. So I thought it was a joke at first, but then I read the whole thing, and they said, yeah, they wanted to interview. So I emailed them back and said, yes, I would love to interview with you guys. I would love to just go in and you know, just interview with you guys. So I did, and they asked me to come into the Lakewood location just so that we could interview. So I went into the Lakewood location, showed up about 15 minutes before my interview, completely dressed in black, and I was so nervous. Like, it is so nerve-wracking, because you're just like, this is my one shot. This is the time that I can, you know, wow them with my personality and who I am. Because what you guys see on camera is what you see in person. This is me all the time. Anyways, back onto that. So I got there, and there was this chick who like showed up, and then like they interviewed her before me when it was actually my turn. But I guess she was running late. First off, you never show up late to an interview, honey. There you go. So she showed up. They had been interviewing somebody, then they interviewed her, and then they interviewed me. And as I stood there, the girl did nothing. She just said, okay, nice to meet you, we'll keep in contact. So when it was my turn, the girl asked me, basic questions. Why do you want to work for Mac? What do you like about Mac? And like I said, I've researched Mac since forever. Like, I love Mac. I'm sure we all do. So I told her, I was like, dude, honestly, like, I'm in love with makeup because it's my love and passion. You get to transform people and make them feel beautiful. Like, that's why I love makeup. And so I told her that, and we just talked, and she's like, I love your energy. She's like, I really, really like you. I think you'd be a great asset to Mac, and blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, cool. So then when she was done with the interview, she goes, you know, I would love to offer you a second invitation to a second interview. So she handed me an envelope, and the envelope I still have. And it says, you know, they just told me what day it was and what I had to do and where I had to go. So they asked me to bring a model in. It was like, I think like 3 weeks later after that, and I went to like Orange County, and that's where I did my second interview. So we get there, they asked us, I think they asked us to be there like at 9 or something. God, I remember I woke up at like 7 a.m. and did my makeup and like did the most. I think I wore like this sweater, and I'm always hot. It was horrible. But Anyways, I did my makeup and everything, and I drove out to not Brea, it was somewhere in the Orange County area, and I brought my cousin with me as my model, but I already knew, I already know they're going to switch our models, like, I'm not that stupid, I've done research. So we get there, we get to the training facility, and it looks like just like a little training area, and there's like a whole bunch of Mac stuff inside, and they asked only 3 questions. There was about 15 of us there, and they only asked 3 questions, so you had to like stand out, girl, okay? And believe it or not, you think like when you're raising your hand, you're like, oh yeah, you know the answer, but no, you don't. Anyways, so they asked us a couple questions. They asked, one question they asked everybody individually is, they said, rate yourself in makeup. So they asked everybody gave a number. I gave my number. I said, you know, honestly, I feel like I'm a 7. I think I'm pretty good. I can get somebody done really, really fast. There's just a couple things that I wouldn't mind learning, you know? So then there was another guy that was there. You could tell he was young, but because I was 23 at the time, he was probably like 19 or so. And he raised his hand and goes, well, I'm a 10. Boo-boo, you should have said you were an 8. You should have said you were a 4 in reality, no tea, no shade. But he raised his hand and came off very confident, but I think instead of confident, he came off too cocky, because the trainers were like, okay, if you're a 10, then why are you here? Why do you want to work for Mac? If you're so good, you don't need to be here. So then I was like, damn, like, those are the times where you should kind of like sell yourself a little short, unless you're gonna like wow everybody like with your makeup. So then whatever, they asked us to bring our models in, and then everybody's like sitting down, everybody's ready, and then they tell us, okay, everybody stand up. So I stand up, and they're like, move to the side. So I move to the side, and I already knew they were gonna switch our models. I really wasn't shocked. I already knew, but it is nerve-wracking because you're just like, oh my god, you know, I don't know this person's skin type, blah blah blah. And they told us, okay, you guys have 30 minutes to ask your model what kind of makeup she wants, and you have 30 minutes to complete the entire look. So I look at my cousin, and she goes, what are you doing? She goes, you're good at makeup, like you've been in worse situations, just do it. So I was like, okay. I just kind of like focused, looked at my model, and I said, what kind of makeup do you want? And she goes, do whatever is going to make you get the job. That's what she told me. So I saw that everybody was running back and forth, getting little products, running back and forth, and I said, dude, we have 30 minutes to do this entire look. I'm not going to waste any time. So what I did is I literally just lifted my sweater, like lifted it, and then I stuffed foundation, everything I needed I put in there. Mind you, we were given 5 brushes, which I think was an angled brush, a blending brush, a powder brush, foundation brush, and I think like one other thing, I don't remember what it was, but it was just 5 brushes. So then I think it was a concealer brush. Yeah, it was a concealer brush. So then I think to myself, let me just grab everything I need. I'm not going to run back and forth. I put everything down, and they told you have to wipe everything down like before you use it. If you do not wipe it down, it causes, what's the word? It's like not cleanliness or whatever, so it's just dirty. So I said, okay, cool, whatever. We started doing the makeup, and I think to myself, what is going to make this girl look the most beautiful and get me the job? So I said, you know what, let me focus on her skin and make her skin look flawless, because if you have beautiful skin and beautiful eyebrows, the rest of your face can look pretty busted, or at least decent, and you're going to look amazing. So I busted this chick out in, I want to say like 20 minutes. Like I had done that, I mean, I did that makeup so fast. I had a mascara, eyebrows, eyeshadow, concealer, everything. She looked amazing for the 20 minutes that I did it in, because it took me about 5 minutes to get all the stuff that I needed. And everybody else was still working, and I was just kind of like hanging out, standing there, and they stopped the time or whatever, and I looked at that boy specifically, and that boy didn't have eyebrows on. His girl like barely had foundation on. Anyways, moving on from that, no tea, no shade. Anyways, from once you were done, they asked, they walked around, looked at all the models, and then they started calling people individually out, individually out, individually out, individually out, individually out, individually out. So then there was about like 5 or 6 of us that were left out of the 15, and then like I was like, damn, we didn't get it. I was like, fuck, we didn't get it, we're not gonna get the job. So then they come in and they're like, okay guys, we wanted to keep you guys behind because we want to talk to you guys about offering you guys a job as a beauty on call, which means that you can work at like almost any Mac, as long as like you can go, like, how can I explain it? You're an on call, so you can work at any Mac. Like counter, mainly counters I feel like use you. So you'll be used at counters as long as you go in, you make friendships with the manager, and the manager needs somebody, they'll give you a call and you can work for them. So that's how it offered off to me, and I said, okay, I'll accept it, blah, 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 blah. After that happened, I went over to, I came home, I was like, I got it, you know, I didn't know where I was gonna work though. They didn't tell you a location, nothing. So then I went home, and then I think I got a call like a week later from Brittany, who is now my manager over at the Cerritos Nordstrom counter, and she just told me like, hey, come in, and I totally forgot her name, so I called back Nordstrom, and then the beauty department manager answered, and she goes, well, fine, I'll interview you then. So then I interviewed with her as opposed to the manager from MAC, and then she gave me another call, blah blah blah. We finally worked things out, and they offered me a job. They called me back and said that they would like to have me a part of their team, and they did. So that's kind of how I am now, currently at the Cerritos location. But I am on call, which kind of sucks because you're not permanent. But I'm just honestly right now at this point in my life, I'm just so busy with like working at the club and working there and just trying to have a life in general that it's tough to just say let me be permanent, because being permanent, it's a lot, which I do want to be permanent, but I think it's something you have to work for. I've been with MAC for like 4 or 5 months, I want to say. So I've been with them for quite a bit, not that long. Like there's people that have been with MAC at my store for longer and they don't want to be permanent, but I would love to be permanent, just because once you're permanent you gotta go to update and all that stuff, and I haven't done that, which sucks. So I feel like I'm just a Nordstrom employee, but I'm only specifically at the MAC counter. So I think it's like everything, you know, once it's time for you, you will get it and you'll get there. And I just have to work for it. And yeah, and that's how I started with MAC, how I got started with MAC. And it's awesome. I love it. I know a lot of people claim MAC breaks them out and whatnot. Boo-boo, you need to learn to wash your skin better. Anyways, guys, that's it. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this little rambly story time video, but that's just kind of how I got with MAC. And we'll just see what the future has to offer. And if you guys are located near the Cerritos location at the Nordstrom, come by and see me. I would love to meet you guys or just kind of help you shop. It's always fun to play with makeup and stuff. But I guess that's it, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye, everyone.